Hi everybody, this is a short lesson that is rounding out the unit on kinetics and equilibrium. We're going to look at something called determining if a reaction is thermodynamically favorable. Now, that's a phrase used in like college courses. What you're going to have to look at is just, is it spontaneous? Spontaneous means if I get this reaction going, like I supply it with enough activation energy, will it just continue? If given sufficient activation energy, will the reaction continue? So there's a couple changes that occur during a chemical reaction. One of the changes is a change in energy, which we call enthalpy, and that's delta H. We already talked about delta H, okay? The favorable change in terms of energy is to go from an area of high energy to an area of lower energy. Now, in what type of reaction do we have a decrease in energy overall, meaning it starts out with a lot of energy and ends with lesser energy? It would be an exothermic reaction. Now, what is the sign of delta H in an exothermic reaction? The sign of delta H is negative. So if you see a reaction where the delta H is negative, remember you could look on table I to get delta H values. You could also look at a potential energy diagram and see that that is exothermic. So when you see that negative delta H or exothermic reaction, that is favorable. Okay, so naturally that reaction will proceed. So think about combustion, for example. Combustion reactions are exothermic reactions. They give off a lot of energy. Once like you strike a match, for example, and striking a match would be supplying it with enough activation energy. Once it gets going, it's going to go until there's no more fuel left. Okay, you don't have to keep, it doesn't stop in the middle and like, oh, you got to restart this. It keeps going, okay? There are some, you can make an endothermic process take place spontaneously. So something like melting of ice, when you go from a solid to a liquid, that's endothermic. But how can I make that happen more? Well, if I add heat to it. So I put it at room temperature. Room temperature is obviously, warmer than the freezer. The heat from the surroundings is going to go into the ice and melt it. But what you need to know is exothermic spontaneous. Something else changes, keeping up with that melting ice example. Something else changes when ice melts, and it has to do with the position of the particles and the phase that it's in. So let's think back to particle diagrams for a solid and a particle diagram for a liquid and a particle diagram for a gas. So if you had to draw a particle diagram for a solid, you would do that regular geometric pattern. You'd say, oh, look, they're nice and organized in their particles. And then if you had to do a liquid, they'd still be touching, but it would kind of be like collapse a little bit. And then if you had to do a gas, to spread those all out, okay? So let's think about positions and organization. Okay, that concept is called entropy. So that R in there is important, okay? So entropy, you want to think of that as being the randomness, that's why I highlighted the R, randomness or disorder of particles. The more entropy it has, the more random it gets, okay? Systems in nature tend to move towards greater entropy. So if you think to like the beginning of the school year, RIP, the beginning of the school year, when you started school and you came in like the first couple of days, your backpack was probably all like nice and neat and your locker was organized. What happened by like October? It was probably like a dumpster fire, right? It was a disaster. The tendency is for things to become less organized, not more organized. The disorder in the universe is increasing. You don't have to know this delta S thing. Just know that entropy increasing is spontaneous. Okay, you don't have to know the symbol for it. I don't know where the S comes from anyway. So how do you determine, if you're looking at an equation, what happens to entropy? Think about the phases. So a solid has an orderly arrangement and low entropy. A liquid has molecules next to each other moving slowly, that would have medium entropy. A gas has molecules moving all over the place and would have high entropy. Okay, so what you should remember here, if you go from solid to liquid to gas, the entropy increases from solid to liquid to gas and decreases gas to liquid to solid. When you look at an equation, you look at the symbols that are in parentheses to determine what, obviously what the phases are, G, L, or S. So if you see a reaction moving from an orderly phase to a more disorganized phase, that would be an increase in entropy. So if you had solids and liquids reacting to form gases, or even if you had a couple of, look at the coefficients, if I had like 2 moles of gas on the left, but 5 moles of gas total on the right, that would be an increase in entropy. If, also decomposing things. So even if I had a solid that decomposed into its individual pieces, but there's more of them, right? There's 2 pieces on the right, but there was only 1 piece on the left, that would be an increase in entropy. If I increase the temperature of a substance, its entropy will generally increase because the molecules are moving faster. If I took a solid and I dissolved it in water, those would separate and have more entropy. So let's look at these couple examples here. What happens to entropy in these reactions? Well, we start out with 2 moles of solid. We end up with 2 moles of liquid and 3 moles of gas. That would be an increase in entropy. What if I took a liquid and turned it into a solid? Well, liquids are moving around, solids are locked in place, so that would be a decrease in entropy. This is the example I gave from the prior slide. If I took a solid and I dissolved it, it would be an increase in entropy, because when I dissolve it, the particles can move around more. So let's put those 2 things together. So we'll look at enthalpy, which is energy, and entropy, which is randomness. And again, you do not need to know that symbol of delta S. Okay, just know that entropy is randomness. So let's look at the energy part first. Okay, so in terms of energy, exothermic is what we want, and an increase in entropy or randomness is what we want. Okay, so if I have energy written on the right-hand side of an equation, if energy is as a product, it means it's being given off. That means that it's exothermic, which that would be spontaneous. That would be good. Okay, and exothermic, that would be a negative delta H. Now, what's happening to the randomness or the entropy of this system? Well, I have 3 total moles of gas on the left and 2 liquids on the right. So that's becoming less random. So the entropy is decreasing, which is not favorable. Okay, now look at this example. On this example, we have sodium chloride and we're dissolving it into water. The energy part of it, the energy is on the left, which tells me that it's endothermic, which that's positive and that's not favorable, that's not spontaneous, but it is because breaking apart, so it is increasing in its randomness, which is good. So you can have those 2 concepts in conflict. What you need to remember is that the best case scenario in terms of spontaneous, the spontaneity of a process, you want a negative delta H, you want an exothermic reaction, you want a release of energy, and you want a positive delta S, you want it to be more disorganized, more randomness. And again, don't worry about the symbol of randomness. Don't worry about the symbol for delta S. Just know that you want it to be more random. That's the best case scenario. How can we that's it. How can we predict if a reaction will happen or be spontaneous? You want it to be exothermic. You want it to increase in entropy. Now, there's a concept that wraps those two things together mathematically, and it's called Gibbs free energy, which we don't have to calculate, but this is basically a summary here. We want to increase your disorder. You want to decrease or release your energy. You want to look at spontaneous. This last slide just kind of summarizes that. If I do have an increase in disorder and a release of energy, that is always going to be spontaneous. If I have a decrease in disorder, so an increase in order, and I absorb energy endothermic, that would never be spontaneous. It could happen, but it would take a lot of activation energy to get it going. If I have an increase in order but a release of energy, so those two things are conflicting, it would be spontaneous at lower temperatures. And if I had an increase in disorder but an endothermic reaction, it would be good at higher temperatures. So what you really need to know, this is an extension, you don't have to memorize this, but the thing that you absolutely need to know regions-wise is this first bullet. What's the best case scenario? An increase in randomness and a release of heat. So that's it for this unit. We're going to do some summary activities to get this wrapped up, and then we'll move on.